What's up, guys? We are back with a special Sunday edition of Beyond the Diamond, a little Sunday night podcast for you, wrapping up this weekend's action. And, good weekend for Fairfield Colby, but unfortunately, that first L came today.
Yeah, great. I mean, great weekend. Took 3 out of 4, but we took the loss, but I think it's a good thing. We got the monkey off our back before playoffs because you don't want to deal with that record coming into playoffs like Gonzaga did the NCAA tournament this year.
It's a good point. It's like a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing, it's amazing, best season in program history, but you almost feel more comfortable now. Got it out of the way. We can just play our game. We don't have to worry about keeping the streak intact.
Exactly.
And a good one for UConn too. The plans got a little weird, but we ended up getting a nice little 2-game series in against Bucknell and took care of business in those games. We'll get into that a little more. But as always, we're going to start off with the top 25.
Yeah, so top 3 did not change. Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Texas. Probably won't see it change for the rest of the year. Tennessee jumped up from 6 to 4. TCU's up to 5. They were 8 last week. Shout out Ryan Sporten. Great horned frog. Mississippi State dropped to 6. Louisville stayed at 7. Notre Dame jumped from 10 to 8. Oregon made a big leap from 13 to 9. And then East Carolina dropped 1 spot to 10.
Yeah, and Louisville, you might see a little drop. Notre Dame, you might see a little rise. We'll get into why a little later, but some eventful weekends for them. Texas Tech coming in at 11, all the way down from 5 after going 1 and 2 on the week. And once again, team you might see drop a little bit after a tough weekend against Texas. Arizona made a nice little jump up to 12. South Carolina at 13. They're putting together a nice year this year. Florida staying consistent at the 14 spot, 3-1 on the week. Charlotte at 15. Louisiana Tech at 16. Pitt at 17. Stanford at 18. Ole Miss 19. Falling down from 12, Ole Miss. Florida State up to 20. Gonzaga, they're not just a basketball school, folks. They are at 21. Nebraska, Southern Miss, UC Irvine, and Old Dominion rounding out the rankings. Indiana State fell out. They had been at 21. Virginia Tech and Michigan, also Oklahoma State. They're the teams that fell out this week. The SEC leads all conferences with 7 teams in the rankings. The ACC and Conference USA, a very underrated conference. They got some great ball clubs. They each have 4. The Big 12 and Pac-12 each have 3 teams, and the Big West, Big 10, WCC, and American each have 1.
Yeah, I think the ACC is Vanderbilt. It's Vanderbilt and Louisville. It's those 2 teams. SEC is a tight race. I'm not honestly sure who's going to end up winning the SEC. I know the SEC West versus SEC East. There's 2 clear-cut front runners, Arkansas and Vanderbilt. Big 12, they got Texas and TCU. Tennessee also in the SEC. One I wanted to point out was Ole Miss. They seem to just, since they've been 1, they just have had a fall from grace. I'm not honestly sure if they have another down week, if they're still going to be in the top 25.
Yeah, it's been a little tough for them. And this is also power rankings from last week, so they'll be getting a fresh set out tomorrow on D1 Baseball and Baseball America. So we'll see where the Rebels are standing there. Yeah, definitely not the season they've hoped for. They're obviously still doing well enough to be a 19th ranked team in the country, but they had a little higher expectations than that.
Yeah, and the Pac-12 having 3 teams, that's a very underrated conference like the Conference USA is, but not many people watch the West Coast games because obviously they're late, but that's some great baseball going on out there.
Yeah, and after Beyond the Diamond here told you, watch out for Oregon. There they are, all the way up to 9 after not being ranked to start the season.
Yep, exactly. I'd say top 5 probably is going to stay like that. Maybe Mississippi State or Notre Dame jumps in there, but that's a pretty good top 5. Rest of the rankings, Texas Tech came back after. They've just been good since they started the season 0-4. They've only lost 6 games since then. So,
Yeah, they're an impressive ball club. Their lineup is very deep. They got a lot of good arms that throw in the upper 90s. So, I mean, hard to say that's not dangerous.
Yeah, and then Charlotte, I believe their center fielder got hurt, or right fielder maybe. He was stretchered off the field. It looked really bad. So that's probably a big loss for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just feel terrible about that.
So Yeah, that's the top 25. Some of the notable games this weekend were Arkansas, LSU, and Vanderbilt, Florida. Two big SEC matchups. Arkansas won, LSU not ranked, but they're still a good team. Vanderbilt at 2 and Florida at 14. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, I'll start off with Arkansas LSU. So before this series, the Louisiana Governor, John Bel Edwards, he announced that the state could allow 100% capacity back for outdoor sporting events, which is a fun thing to see. So Alex Box Stadium down there in Baton Rouge was packed to the gills, over 10,000 fans there. When the series wrapped up, Arkansas had taken 2 out of 3. I guess we're giving you a spoiler alert now, but they won a series at LSU for the first time since 2004, and they set a program record with 7 straight SEC series wins over the last few weeks. So, understandably, it is very likely that they will be holding on strong at the #1 spot when the rankings come out again tomorrow. On Friday night, Arkansas 7-0 win. It was a great pitcher's duel. Patrick Whitlander and LSU's Landon Marchot, who had a no-hitter through the first 6 innings against that Arkansas lineup. It's very impressive. But Wicklander was just as good. He only allowed 3 hits in his 6 2/3 scoreless. On the top of the 7th, Matt Goodhart broke up the LSU no-hitter with a single left center, and later that inning, Christian Franklin, who had a monster weekend, drove home 2 runners with a single to put Arkansas up 2-0. They broke it open the 8th, scored 5, including a 2-run single by Brady Slavens and a 3-run homer by who else but Franklin. And you'll be hearing his name a few more times in the next couple minutes. Kevin Kopps came in, their closer. He struck out 4 over 2 innings, got his 6th save of the year, and the right-hander struck out 11 consecutive batters, dating back to his appearance at South Carolina on the 22nd of April, and that tops Jess Todd's school record of 9 straight strikeouts set in 2007.
So then on Saturday, Saturday doubleheader actually. Game 1, I mean, it was a high-scoring matchup for sure. Arkansas 17, LSU 10. They made it a doubleheader because of bad weather coming in today. So Christian Franklin, again, he's going to be mentioned a lot, continued his insane weekend. He drove in 4 runs, as did, Mr. Oompa Loompa, Robert Moore. 6 more Razorback players recorded multiple hits, including 3 hit days from Franklin, Moore. He was a double short of the cycle, actually, and Caden Wallace. Arkansas jumped out to a 5-0 lead in the first inning, big spot, then put up 7 more in the 5th and 4 more in the 6th. AJ Labus was blasted for 9 earned in 4 innings for LSU. Tough go. While Peyton Paletti threw 4 solid innings, only giving up 2 runs and throwing 66 pitches.
Yeah, it seemed like they thought the game was in hand a little bit, taking them out that early, but then their bullpen gave up some runs, got a little tighter than they hoped for, but at the end of the day, they were fine, and they didn't put too much strain on Palette's arm. So game 2, LSU came back with a little bit of a vengeance, took a 5-4 win. LSU senior Makil Hilliard, he came to play. He held the red-hot offense of Arkansas to just 1 run on 2 hits through 5 innings. It was his first SEC start since 2019, so you see since the Hill injury, LSU's starting staff needs to be a little deeper, so it's nice to see a guy like that step up. And then in relief, Garrett Edwards, who's just a freshman, he was just as good. He came in and fired 3 scoreless and struck out 2. Cade Doughty, the Tigers' third baseman, he was making noise again. We mentioned him on last week's show. He launched a 3-run home run in the first inning to set the tone. And then Dylan Cruz, the right fielder, and Drew Bianco, the center fielder, each drove home the other runs for LSU. So at the end of the day, Arkansas took 2 out of 3. They are now at 34-8, #1 club in the nation. And Dave Van Horn's club is going to take on Georgia in a home series next weekend.
Who was the first team to beat Vandy in a series this year?
That is a good point. So he had knocked Vandy out of the #1 spot when they were up there. So they'll be a quality opponent.
Yep, and like we were talking about Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt, number 2 seed, number 2 team in the country. Florida, number 14 team. They were number 2 preseason, or number 1 preseason. Game 1, Rocker. He didn't go as long as usual, but he was still pretty dominant. Only 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 8 Ks. Every Vandy starter in their lineup had at least 1 hit, with 3 recording multiple hits. They were up 7-0 after 3 before Florida even scored. It was 11-4 Vandy after 7. Jack Bolger, 2 RBI double to add to his 3 RBI night. Um, Enrique Bradfield Jr. is probably the fastest player I've ever seen in my life. He covers center like it's no one else is even out in the outfield, and he just steals bases for fun, I think. But I could be wrong, of course. He might actually be doing his job. Who knows? And then Keegan had an RBI double. And Bradfield and Thomas both had 2 RBIs apiece. And with Bolger, Rodriguez also had 3 RBIs. Yep.
While we're talking about Rodriguez, that throw he made the other night from his knees to get a guy out at second base, that'll play.
Maybe he'll play a little bit, but yeah, no, it's just not fair that they have 2 aces and then a catcher who can just do that.
Yeah. And you'll see on the Aces Instagram stories, they're always promoting their catcher. So you love to see them giving their catcher some love. And well earned by Rodriguez. So in game 2, Leiter looked a little bit beatable, shall we say? He wasn't his usual self. He only went 5 hits, 7 runs, 5 of them earned, walked 4 guys, and only struck out 4. So granted, Florida is a very tough team. They had come in at number 2 to start the season. They're in the middle of the pack now in the top 25, but still a dangerous opponent. Not what they're hoping for in what at this point is just becoming postseason tune-ups for Vandy. So, you still have confidence in a guy like him with what he brings to the table, but not ideal. That's for sure. Maxwell Romero Jr. had a 2-run shot. He put Vandy up 6-5 in the 4th. And who else but Enrique Bradfield just stealing more bases. Going for Florida was their guy, Tommy Mace. He went 10 hits, 7 runs, 6 of them earned, no walks, 7 strikeouts. So, he definitely had the longevity, but, gave up a couple runs there. Florida's lineup was rolling, though. Their 3-4-5 trio combined for 4 home runs and 7 RBIs. Judd Fabian, who, he came into the year as one of the guys we were pegging as an early draft pick. So now he's starting to heat up a bit more. 2 home run night, including a 3-run homer that set the tone in the bottom of the 1st. There were 6 lead changes in this game. Florida took back the lead in the bottom of the 4th on a fielding error Vandy made. Then in the 5th, Chris Armstrong put the game in hand, a 2-run shot to make it 11-6 Florida. And Florida had double-digit hits in 8 of their last 9 entering today's game, which now you'll get to.
Yeah, just to touch on Leiter, that seems like 3 back-to-back starts that he hasn't looked his dominant self. So wonder if there's something mechanically going on. And then Mace, he gave up 6 runs, but he didn't give up a single run after the 4th inning. So he took him a little bit to settle in, but once he settled in, he was pretty dominant.
Yeah.
So yeah, game 3, Florida took it 5-3 to beat Vandy in only their 2nd series since 2019. They lost 1 in 2019 and 2 this year. So they're dominant, but they're clearly beatable, especially when one of their aces loses. Baracco started for Florida, McLevin for Vandy. McLevin went 3 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 Ks. Not a great night, especially over 3 innings. And then Baracco went 5 1/3, 5 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 7 Ks. Not dominant, but he didn't allow many runs, which is what you need out of your starter. And just Riley came in for relief for Vandy, and he looked pretty good. Armstrong and McMullen doubled and singled respectively to open up the scoring for Florida in the first, 2-0. Thomas homered to left for Vandy to cut down the lead to 1 in the top of the 2nd. Then Thompson singled, not to be confused with Thomas, scoring 2 in the 3rd, put Florida up 4-1. Young reached on a fielder's choice, making it 5-1 Florida. Enrique Bradfield, super fast guy, but he grounded out, but he scored a run, 5-2. And then Nolan hit a sac fly to make it 5-3 Vandy. So like I said, they lost their 2nd series of the year, but that's pretty good since considering it's May.
Yeah, I mean, speaks for itself how impressive that is. And if you're going to lose to anybody, it's understandable that Florida Ball Club is hungry to prove themselves and rise up those SEC standings. So, tough weekend, especially when you see Leiter get hit around and Kumar only go 5 innings. The longevity will be key for them to not overextend their bullpen since they might need him in game 3. But yeah, all in all, bit of not what Tim Corbin was looking for out of that weekend.
Yeah, no, it's not ideal, but like you said, it's postseason tune-up. So if they can fix what they did wrong, they're gonna be a good squad. But they're definitely beatable, unlike what we thought earlier in the year.
Yeah. Any given day in this game of baseball, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Some other games we had our eyes on this weekend. Clemson. The Tigers came to play against Louisville here. They swept them and handed them their first ACC sweep in 7 years. So that's not bad. Caden Grice, who's just a freshman for the Tigers, he led the way with an unreal 3 home run and 8 RBI game on Friday night.
That'll play for sure. Clemson, a team we thought might be good at the beginning of the year, but they haven't lived up to the expectations. Obviously, Louisville though, they were 7 entering this week, getting swept for the first time in 7 years too. That's not a good look for a team that was thought to be one of the top 2 teams in the ACC. Maybe they still are. Maybe it was just an off weekend, but still not ideal.
Yeah. Speaking of ACC, Notre Dame swept their series against North Carolina. They beat Austin Love on Friday night, so that just gave them the confidence throughout the rest of the weekend. That's our guy right there. They scored 36 runs throughout those 3 games, by the way, and they improved to 21-8 in ACC play. The Irish, led by our boy Nico Cavadas, he just hits and hits. They're a dangerous squad.
Yeah, well, we had Josh on. He talked about how they might start making a run because that was only, and of course we highlighted them before they even started playing because of the COVID delay. But North Carolina, not the best team this year, but still a sweep is a sweep, especially when you score 36 runs in 3 games. That's over 10 runs a game.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
As a team that was ranked a few weeks ago, they had snuck into the bottom 24-25. So, of course, they're a dangerous squad, even if they're not completely dominant right now as they normally would be. So, yeah, the Irish are a special team. So look for them to keep rising.
They look like the team to beat the ACC.
They definitely might be. I mean, it's hard to say otherwise.
Yeah. Old Dominion took 3 out of 4 from Charlotte, a team who's ranked 15th, I believe. So, yeah, 15th entering this week. So we'll see what they're ranked now. It was highlighted by the first shutout of the Charlotte Bats this season and a Carter Trice run rule walk-off home run, because that's a thing now with the conference games where you can run rule teams after 7.
I love a run rule walk-off home run. It's just so awkward because you're like, oh, the game's over now, even though we're up by this much. It's a walk-off.
Yeah, no one knows what to do because, like, you got to wait till the umpires signal it. So you can't celebrate immediately, even though you know the game's over. Everyone keeps running, and it's just weird.
You stand around awkwardly and feel good about yourselves, I guess.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. So then Southern Miss, they actually lost their season opener against Rice, but yeah, they decided to just slaughter them the next 3 games, outscoring them 30-3, which is just an insane number.
Yeah, we saw that lineup firsthand when they took on UConn second weekend of the year. They're a dangerous team. Like I said, I will promote the Conference USA because there are some really good teams there, Southern Miss included. They're dangerous. Their entire lineup, they're hard to beat. They got some solid pitching too. So watch out for them. They can make a run. I believe they were at 23 last week. So we'll see if they keep rising after that blowout. Those blowouts, I should say.
Yeah, big blowouts.
Our friends at TCU, they swept West Virginia on the road. They only allowed 6 runs along the way, and they pulled ahead of Texas by 2.5 games in the Big 12 standings. I think that actually might be down to 2 games now because Texas won today. That was before, but yeah, a great weekend for TCU.
Yeah, Texas, the number 3 team in the country that we don't think is going to change anytime soon. So them not even being in first place in their own conference, that either says TCU is just insane or that conference is insane, which it could be both.
Yeah.
It looks like it's both.
I think it is. But yeah, that brings us to Texas Tech, Texas. That's been a fun series to watch, very competitive. Texas took the first 2 close margins. It was 5-3 and 6-3, I believe the scores were. Mm-hmm. And Tech head coach Tim Tadlock, he tried to go all out today. He was running his bullpen out there, but didn't happen.
Yeah, I think in the fourth inning, they went through like 5 pitchers or something. And Ken Rogers, who we'll talk about again later, was like, maybe we'll just see every arm out of their pen today, because that seems to be the move. They were going like one pitcher, one batter, one pitcher, one batter. It was like old school MLB stuff. It was awesome.
I remember your boy Bruce Bochy was doing that in an extra inning game at Fenway a few years ago. He just kept playing the matchup game with the September call-ups. He had the loaded bullpen. He was like, okay, we'll go righty, lefty, righty, just every other guy. So it seems like we had a
when he used to have 2010, when he had Afelt, Lopez, Romo, Wilson, 4 guys who could all close games, could all be lefty righty specialists. That's baseball.
It is.
Mind games.
Manfred disagrees, though.
Yeah.
Whatever. Oh, well, that's a conversation for another episode, I guess. But yeah, the Longhorns prevailed in this one, 11-3. So ultimately, they sweep the number 5 team in the nation. So strong showing for them. And yeah, now what Texas Tech was looking for, they hoped that they could pull out some. I don't even want to say upsets because they're both so good, but you know.
Could we see them jump Vandy in the next rankings?
That's a great point. I mean,
didn't even think about that.
Vandy lost a series to a team in the middle of the pack in the rankings. Texas Tech is number 5 team right now, and they got swept. So it's possible. Hello, Longhorns.
I think we might see it tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm gonna keep my eyes out for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it'd be a big surprise from when we thought we were a few weeks ago, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, anything can happen.
And then Seton Hall, Big East, pitcher Tyler Burnham threw a 13 strikeout no-hitter against Georgetown this afternoon. So shout out, obviously. Love some no-nos. Not that Georgetown's great, but still.
We're ending the season against Seton Hall. Yeah, Georgetown's lineup's having a tough time. They got shut out in both games when they came here. Ben Kasperi struck out 15 of them, and Austin Peterson, I forget how many he struck out, but he got through 7 shutout on 77 pitches. So their lineup is having a little bit of a tough go at it right now.
Yeah, not a great look.
But yeah, you know, it is what it is. Some other college baseball news. Kendall Rogers, who we just mentioned, he tweeted the other day that the NCAA selection committee will now announce 20 possible regional host sites the week of May 10th, and then we'll dwindle that number to 16 the night before Selection Monday. So this will allow more teams to compete for host sites. And then he followed that up by saying there were 46 sites that were submitted bids to host the regionals. So the committees will have a tough decision ahead, whittling that number down and then whittling down again later.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could probably figure out where the host sites are if we really wanted to do the research, but I don't know, they might put a wild card and put some host sites just because of the stadiums they have, not because of their ranking. So that'd be interesting.
If only I knew a team that had a brand new stadium that had some nice facilities to offer.
I can't seem to grasp what you're thinking of.
No, I don't know.
Nah, no idea. So now into some Fairfield highlights. And there were highlights, even though we lost one game. But we played Siena this weekend, 2 doubleheaders, Saturday and Sunday. Game 1, Mike Sansone went the distance. He had 11 Ks, career high. It honestly felt like a Jacob deGrom type game because 8 of the first 9 batters he faced, he struck out. And the only guy he didn't strike out was a home run on a 3-2 pitch when the 2-2 pitch was right down the middle, called a ball. So whatever. Still salty about that, but we won the game, so it's all good. We didn't score. It was the Siena pitcher was throwing a 1-hitter into the 7th. And then we got 1 hit, an error advanced him to 3rd. We scored 1-1, and then a blue single walk-off by Owen Waslinger, grad transfer. So great for him, getting his first start at home. Game 2, we run ruled him. Jake Noviel, friend of the show, pitching like he normally does, 7 innings, 5 hits, I believe, 8 Ks, something around that number. 10-0, nothing big. We were like, we're done playing these close games. Let's just, get it over with through 7.
Yeah.
Well, then we played what was a close game for most of the game, game 3, John Signor, 6th-year senior, great guy, I love him. First loss of the season by any pitcher. It was 6-1 Siena. It was 1-0 for a while, and then they just went on a tear. He had a no-hitter through 4 innings. And then what happened? Oh, then the 5th inning, I was like, oh, he's got a no-hitter. Then, of course, that went well. Back to back to back, tripled and 2 doubles. Tripled down the first baseline, just out of our first baseman stretch. Then it hit off the wall. Weird. Bounced, got a triple. Next guy, and I've never seen this sequence before. Doubled off the third base bag. Down the line, takes a weird kick off the tarp. The next guy does the exact same thing. Neither ball was hit hard, just somehow hit the exact perfect spot on the base to get through over the third baseman, Charlie Pagliarini's glove. So then that made it 4-1. We brought in Nick Graybeck. Or it made it 3-1. And then Graybeck gave up three runs over 1 2/3 innings. And then we brought in Pete Austin to finish it, but our bats couldn't pick up in the bottom of the 7th. We hit balls hard, maybe 4 onto the warning track, but for some reason their outfielders were playing on the warning track, so that made it tough.
They're scared of you guys.
Yeah, and then game 4 we bounced back. Our ace Trey McLaughlin finally came back from injury. He pitched 2 shutout innings, was dominant. And then Bryson Cavaro came in and pitched 6 2/3. Great innings. We won 4-0.
Seems to me like in game 3, the first loss, baseball guys just said, we're tired of you guys.
I think that's what happened.
I mean, you don't see that too often. Nonetheless, back-to-back plays bouncing off the bag like that. But yeah, I mean, like we said, the team is amazing, but there was bound to be one that slipped in there, gets the monkey off your back, and can just focus on baseball and not a crazy streak anymore.
Exactly.
And they were clearly pissed off and responded in a big way with the 4-0 win. It's great to see Trey McLaughlin back on the hill.
For sure. It was a great sight to see him in a uniform.
Indeed. So now moving on to UConn. A little bit of a weird week because we're coming back from our 2-week COVID pause. That was a lot of fun. But the series at Xavier ended up getting pushed back a little bit. So we could get some guys cleared out of the protocol. So we started with a doubleheader on Sunday. First game, I mean, let's be honest, there was some rust after being out that long. We lost 5-0. Ben Kasparius only got through 5. He still struck out 8 because he's filthy. But shout out to Nick Zwack for Xavier. He was amazing on the mound. He really did his job well, held us to only 6 hits. 6 hits, and 3 guys had a pair of hits, David Langer, Kevin Ferrer, and Eric Stock. Game 2, we bounced back in a big way, 4 home runs in the game. David Langer, he's a senior for us. Chris Brown had still been out from the protocol, so he got the nod for the Xavier series, and he's such a good dude. So I'd love to see him getting back in action. He had his first home run of the year. It was an absolute bullet. And he had a bunch of hits in this series too, so he was really doing well. Reggie Crawford, because he doing Reggie Crawford things. 2-run shot, his league-leading 9th home run of the year, that was at the time. And Austin Peterson earned his Big East leading 5th win of the season. 5 innings of work, allowing 3 hits and striking out 7. It was tied 3-3 in the 6th. And we got a sac fly from Stock and a 2-run single from Kyler Fedko. Gave us the lead, and we didn't really look back because Stock hit his first home run in Husky uniform, and Chris Winkle 8-3. But the thing everybody took out of this game was Kenny House. He came out of the bullpen. He struck out the first 9 guys he faced. It was downright ridiculous. If you haven't seen the video, go check it out on the UConn Baseball Twitter. Because, I mean, you were just sitting there like, no, they're not going to strike out again. Oh, they got 2 strikes. Oh, wow, they struck out again. It was amazing. And then he ended the ball to Caleb Borster in the 9th, and he did Caleb Borster things. Got the save. Followed that up with an absolutely wild game on Monday. Back and forth. At one point, we were down 9-2. It was not an ideal game for us, and that was in the 7th inning. We decided to come back in the 8th. We'll make it 11-11 because why not?
Why not?
just a crazy rally with so much going on. Just about everybody in the lineup really contributed to it. If I tried to go through everything, we'd be here for another hour. But it was an amazing comeback. Xavier kept running out Trey Schramm. He pitched 3 or 4 innings. Let me double check this box score. 3 2/3 innings. He's a big guy they trust out of their pen. He threw 64 pitches. We were doing the same thing with Caleb Borster a little bit, coming back. 3 innings, 52 pitches. So, yeah, the big guys for these teams are going back and forth, back and forth. And then they called the game because of darkness. So we resumed at 11 o'clock the next day. They were putting the runner on second because of that. Conference rules, darkness, whatever it is. We got a Zach Bushling ground out to score Chris Winkle, and then Kyler Fedko hit a home run. And we won that game 15-13. It was a classic.
Yeah. The runner on second rule, now that you've actually experienced it, any thoughts?
My thoughts are I don't like it because I'm a baseball purist. But, like, I understand why we did it in that situation. Xavier doesn't have lights at their field. They were trying to get the game done.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess, I mean, if you start it deeper in extra innings, that's what I'd be for under normal circumstances.
That's what I think. I think if they let us like that, let us still have like fairly long, like maybe 12th or 13th inning. Okay, so let's start with the runner at second. In the 10th, nah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's just, it's tough for coaching because you don't know, well, do I want to just bunt him over and make sure I get that 1 run home? Or do you want to just try to put the foot on the pedal and keep scoring? So I don't know. I mean, everybody goes about it their own way. We chose for just I mean, I guess we didn't choose. We ended up just getting that 1 run home, and then Kyler Fedko, because he's a monster, hit that home run. Then a series finale at Xavier. It was a little bit of a tough one. We took a 2-0 lead in the 5th after another Eric Stock home run. Hadn't hit one in UConn uniform, then, decided to do it twice in the series. Bottom half of the frame, Xavier had a pair of home runs, got 3-2 lead. In the 8th inning, we had a nice little rally going. Kyler walked, Kevin Fair singled, and Reggie walked below the bases. Christian Fedko hit a sac fly, and then Ben Maycock hit a little chopper up the middle that they mishandled and put the go-ahead run. And Kyler hit an insurance shot in the 9th, but then ultimately we couldn't hold the lead in the bottom half, and Xavier took that game 6-5. So wasn't ideal, but coming off that little bit of rust, I guess I'll take 2-2 in conference play. There were some great games to watch. The guys were playing their butts off. So we did what we could, and ultimately, at least we got some wins in there.
Yeah, I mean, especially tough coming off of 13 in a game. So I mean, you're not gonna win them all. So if you had won that one, great, but you're one of those teams that's gonna have a heartbreaking loss in that second game.
No, that's exactly. The second game and the high-scoring affair, whoever lost it, you just felt terrible for them. So
Exactly.
it evened out, I suppose.
It's only
So
fair
this
you split them.
Yeah, this was a strange week because we were supposed to play Butler, had a false positive in the program. Butler canceled their flights and couldn't rebook them. There's some controversy around that. I'm not going to get into it, but let's just say UConn was very much ready to play Butler, but Butler did not make the trip. So anyway, Bucknell needed an opponent. So we said, sure, come on down to Storrs. We had a little 2-game set with them Saturday, Sunday. The first game, we beat them 9-1. Ben Kasparis, again, he was downright ridiculous. Went 7 innings, had a no-hitter through 6, I should say. I really thought he was going to do it because he was just on fire. But they scrapped across 2 hits in the 7th, got a little rally going, but struck the guy out for his 14th K of the day to leave the bases loaded in the 7th. So might see him getting Big East pitcher of the week after that performance. At least I hope.
So.
Well, actually, I forgot about the no-hitter by Seton Hall.
Yeah.
So I guess you might have to give it to him, but they both were very good. Let's just put it that way.
Maybe.
The Winkle brothers had a great game. Pat Winkle hit 2. Chris Winkle hit 1. Pat Winkle's second home run, it got retweeted by Big Cat from Barstool because the Bucknell pitcher pointed up to his outfielders to catch it. Ball went over the scoreboard in right field. So, yeah, I don't think they were getting that one.
That was launched. That was. Maybe he was just pointing that the ball went very high. We never know.
That. It's like Dennis Eckersley
could
said,
be.
I'd be proud to give that up.
Yeah. No, that's a bomb. It wasn't even a bad pitch.
No, but Pat, he turned on that thing. Lefty, lefty. My God, that thing was
He
demolished.
was ready.
Speaking of demolished, Ben Maycock had his first home run of the year, hit a 2-run absolute line drive shot to right field. And that came after Chris Brown, who finally got back in the lineup, had a 2-run single. Next pitch after Chris Brown's 2-run single, Benny did that. So nice way to start off the series with a 9-1 win. And then today, it was a little bit of an ugly game, 13-6 win. But at the end of the day, we pulled it out, got the W. That's all that matters. A little bit of sloppy play on both sides, but Reggie Crawford had 2 RBI doubles, hits down left field line. Christian Fedko an RBI single as well. The turning point to me really was the top of the 5th inning. Bucknell thought they were really going to get into the game. They had a double off left field fence, but Eric Stock to Chris Brown to Pat Winkle threw the runner out at the plate. They reviewed it, even though I saw a picture afterwards that he was clearly out by a lot. So, I mean, they made the right call, but it just seemed like
picture too.
They were reviewing it for much longer than they had to, but whatever, we got the right decision. And then from that point forward, we scored 7 unanswered, including a 6-run sixth. Chris Brown had a 3-hit day. Coach Penders mentioned that he got the game ball, which you love to see. And we were bringing out the big guns out of the bullpen. It was a tight game, and then we wanted to just get them to work as well. Randy Polonia, Andrew Marrero, Kenny House, Reggie Crawford, and Caleb Borster finished it off. So all in all, good win there. We're hitting the road for some Big East play at St. John's. So looking forward to that. Starting with Friday night baseball this week. Got St. John's and then a midweek against Northeastern and Villanova. So no shortage of Big East play. And that's your latest from Stores.
Pretty good week and a half, I'd say.
Yeah, especially coming back after that pause. It's
just good to get back to baseball.
Oh, exactly. Still got some work to do to catch Creighton in the top spot in the Big East, but I have confidence we'll get there. We're starting to look like ourselves again. So I'm a big believer in this team.
As you're definitely the top team. So it's just the games, number of games you play. That's the killer this year.
Yeah, it's like a race for us to get to the 14 games to qualify for the Big East tournament because of all the, stuff that went down, let's just say. So yeah, as long as nothing crazy happens, we should get there. Let me find some wood to knock on. But yeah, that's
they might change the rules too.
That's what I was hoping. They were trying to get us some credits for that Butler series, but I don't know if that'll happen.
Yeah, who knows? But speaking of coming back, Acuna and Trout came back this week in the MLB. Oh, I should say we're shifting to MLB. Acuna and Trout came back, and I'd say they had a pretty good welcoming back. Acuna hit his 8th and 9th home runs of the year. He could be the first one to 10. Trout just keeps hitting. He's batting like over 420 at this point. He's somehow getting better. Didn't know that you could do that, but
that home run he hit the other night off of Newsom with the Mariners, just turned on it to center field. Effortless swing, just kept carrying way out of there. And Safeco's not an easy place to hit the ball out of either.
No, he made it like, I was like, oh, Trout's inevitable. He probably hit like a double in the gap. The swing made it look like he hit a double in the gap, and it just kept going. And I'm like, but his swing doesn't add up to the ball going that far. He's just so strong.
Well, he's a football player or he's a baseball player in a football player's body.
Yes. And he's a weatherman too, don't forget.
Yeah.
Acuna is single-handedly carrying the Braves, I'd say. They somehow aren't good. I don't understand why, because they're loaded.
Their pitching's been struggling a little bit. I still have confidence in that in the long run, so I'm not going to freak out about it yet.
Yeah, no, I think them and the Phillies are probably going to be the top 2 at the end of the year. I don't know how the Phillies seem to be doing well, but no team in the NL East is really doing insane. Like the Mets
got swept by the Red Sox. Is down bad right now.
They're bad. So I went to the Mets Red Sox second game, the DeGrom game. DeGrom was batting .545 entering the day. They had one guy They had two guys hitting 300 and everyone else was under 250. Like, it's not good at all.
Lindor is receiving booze, which you doubt that'll last, but it's still not what you want to see right now after handing out that contract.
Every
Dom
player
Smith
on the Mets
isn't
got booed that
replicating.
night.
Yeah, well, the
Every player.
Mets fans don't have much patience after a couple years of some mediocrity.
No, they don't. No, but it was definitely a DeGrom game. He gave up back-to-back doubles in the second or third. Or not back-to-back. It was Bogarts double, Devers strikeout, and then Vasquez double. Bogarts, I thought, hit it out. It was a bomb. And then DeGrom was his usual self. But it was 1-0. The Mets don't score for him for some reason, unless he does it himself.
Yep.
Unfortunately for him, Pivetta was gross. Just had a tough first inning. And then they brought in, who'd they bring in?
A few different guys.
I know they brought Barnes to close it. He almost had an immaculate inning.
Matt Barnes has become one. I don't want to jinx him. Let's just
I
say
don't
Matt Barnes having a
either.
really good year.
He's having a great year. And well, this guy we can't jinx. What's his name? The Yankees guy.
Well, we got Chapman
Zero.
and Splitters now.
Adam
Ottavino.
Ottavino. Why, I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. Well, that experience is something.
Yeah, that hasn't been ideal so far.
Except for the Mets game. He was great against the Mets. He was on Pitching Ninja. He was nasty.
Yeah. I think the part of that trade not enough people talk about is Frank Herman. He was a pretty solid draft pick, third round pick, I want to say, in 2018. So I'm surprised they gave him up, but they clearly just wanted to get rid of Ottavino's salary.
Can't blame him. He kind of sucks.
Yeah, well, that's definitely things that you would expect to see the Red Sox address in the upcoming months with the deadline before we know it. The bullpen, add to that, and the outfield because Franchy Cordero is having a tough go at it.
Yeah, no, I can say the same for the Giants, actually. Both first place teams. Both bullpens. The Giants bullpen should be good, but somehow they've blown like nine out of their 10 losses have been because of blown games. So their rotation we know isn't the problem. They lead the majors in ERA. And it's going to go even lower after today. 7-1 win. But their outfield, Yastrzemski being hurts. Dickerson, Slater is the platoon in left field isn't bad, and then they just addressed center field with Tauchman. Farhan's doing something good because he stole him from Cashman.
He did. I guess Yankees just grew tired of him. I don't really understand
I don't know what
Cashman's been up to lately.
I can't tell you what the Yankees are doing. Like we were saying in the group chat. Some Yankees fans know what baseball is. I don't think Cashman does.
Their lineup was looking a little rough. Like they won the game last night, but I was just looking at it. And obviously batting average isn't everything. But 6 of the 9 guys in the lineup were hitting under 200 coming into yesterday's game.
That's bad. That's bad.
They finally started to win some games when they started Kyle Higashioka and benched Gary. I think it's come to that point because Higashioka's played well. And, well, we all know who Gary is.
Yeah, he's a liability defensively, and he can't hit right
now. Not a great combo there.
No, that's not how you become a starting catcher in the MLB.
No, I mean,
he's
been living on his bat. Garrett Cole, he has a great relationship with Higashioka, and you see, like, rolls his eyes a little bit with Gary back there.
Yeah. No, and he's pitching well, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Second best pitcher in New York, but probably one of the top 5 in MLB right now.
Well, I mean, that's nothing surprising. We know he's a monster. But yeah, you can't even compete with Jacob deGrom.
No. Another guy who's doing good is Burns. He got kind of drilled for 4 runs, but he still kept the walk to strikeout ratio intact.
Yeah.
Who else? The Dodgers and Padres guys are doing well. Snell and Darvish both pitched well against the Giants this weekend. I'd say really well. The Giants bullpen again blew it against in the Snell game, but Darvish only gave up 2 earned runs against the Giants, so he was
Ryan
good.
Weathers made a nice
Um,
impression for the Padres against the Dodgers, but he only went like an inning because he got hurt in his last start. So that's the
yeah,
last thing the Padres want. I mean, they've built a super rotation, but everybody keeps getting hurt.
yeah, no, that's the Dodgers too, but Giants too, but you don't hear the Giants fans complaining
There's a
about.
lot of injuries going around. And, I thought this was predictable after such a short season last year. The Brewers have 16 guys on the IL. They lead the league. The Dodgers have 10, 12, I think.
I think that's the right number. Yeah, the Giants have 10, I think.
Giants that you just mentioned. There's a
Padres.
lot of injuries going around.
Yeah, I look at my fantasy roster. I have no outfielders in one of my leagues.
Oh, jeez.
They're all like we have to start 4, and I only have three healthy. I have 4 unhealthy. I don't know how that works.
It's speaking of outfielders who were hurt. George Springer is back. Hit 2 home runs in his second game in a Blue Jay uniform.
In a big
One that went
way.
well over 400 feet. I don't
Yeah, I
think that
think
thing
he's
is
going
landed
like
yet.
480 or something.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, but love to
And
see
it looks further.
Huskies.
It looks further in that stadium too, because there's nothing past the fence,
It
which I
does.
like because it gives that college atmosphere, but it also looks weird.
It just goes into the abyss out there.
Yeah, so you can say you hit a moonshot, literally. Ball never lands.
It's a shame they can't play in Toronto right now because the Rogers Center can be rocking when the Blue Jays are playing well. So for the sake of baseball, let's hope that by the end of the season they can be back up there.
Let's hope by playoffs, because I think they'll probably make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, they're another team that needs to address their pitching a little bit, though. They keep signing veteran guys to 1-year deals and hoping it works.
We've been saying they need pitching though, like all offseason too.
We've been saying that for a couple years now.
They got Ryu, but not much else.
Yeah, hope Nate Pearson can be who he's been hyped to be when he's back on the bump.
Yeah. Let's see who else. Ohtani. He's probably the most talented. No, he's the most skilled player, and Trout is the best player. And they're both on the same team, and they're both competing to win AL MVP.
Yeah.
I wonder how that plays out.
I saw a thing that was like projected MVP standings, and it had Trout, JD, and Ohtani, of which for 2 guys that don't play the field, I'm a proponent for that because playing the field is important, but if you're making that much of an impact at the plate, you should be getting votes for the MVP. In my opinion, it's just how one man feels. But yeah, they're quite the team there. Rendon is back now. He's doing Rendon things.
This is the best team they've ever had around Trout, and it's showing because this is the best Trout we've ever seen, and this is the best the Angels have ever performed.
I don't know how it's even possible for Trout to have gotten better, but he sure has.
He's inevitable. He is Thanos.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
I don't want to admit it, but like, if he doesn't win, we say it's close between him and Ohtani, but I don't think it actually is. Same with JD. JD's probably the best hitter right now in baseball, and he's nowhere near Trout's level.
I mean, Trout's a superhuman. There's a reason he's in the GOAT conversation because what he does is amazing, and we need to see it in the postseason for everybody to appreciate him.
Yeah.
Same conversation we've been having for a while.
Yeah, and then it's DeGrom versus Acuna for the NL MVP. I genuinely don't know who's going to win that because I don't know if they're going to give it to a pitcher.
Yes, and shout out to Dylan Stiles. I got something wrong in last week's show because I said that Justin Verlander's last pitcher to win MVP. It was actually Clayton Kershaw, so my bad on that. But yeah, if DeGrom keeps it up, I don't see why not. Especially because he's the only one hitting in the Mets lineup.
Yeah, I mean, we say that, but then Acuna comes back and hits 2 home runs in his first week back.
That is also.
And he's an electric player. That's why I think he might win, is because of the media vote.
That's a good point. Yeah. Can't go wrong with either of them. That's for sure.
Both great guys, too.
Yeah. Speaking of great guys, you have a Bryce Harper take.
Yeah, so I know we both are on the Bryce Harper fan base now, ever since his starting nine interview. Just really showed who he was as a person. Great guy. But when he got hit, so he got hit with a 97 mile an hour sinker, I believe, in the face. Walked it off like it was, he laid down a little bit, but then he walked it off like it was nothing. Got a little cut. And you could see the Cardinals pitcher was torn, like absolutely destroyed. Like he threw his arms up. He didn't know what was happening.
Yeah,
He
and
went-
clearly his command was having a tough time because he came back and hit Didi with the next pitch.
Yeah, and Girardi got ejected because he's like, the pitcher should be ejected, but because of the new rule, the 3-inning rule or 3-batter rule, you can't take the pitcher out. When after he hit Harper, he would have taken him out.
Side note here, Joe Girardi ejections are very entertaining to watch when he ejects the umpire. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, he ejected the pitcher too,
Yeah, that's right.
so it was quite the thing.
But yeah, and then what Bryce did afterwards,
Yeah. Anyway, he texted. What's the pitcher's name?
Genesis Cabrera.
Yeah. So he texted Cabrera and was like, "Listen, man, it's okay. I'm okay. Like, I want to see if you're okay." Harper, the one who got hit in the face, was like, "Are you
Yeah.
okay?" to the pitcher. Like, that's just a gentleman move.
It is. It shows his leadership, and people, have branded him as, oh, he's cocky. He only cares about. No, he's clearly showing that he's a good person because he reached out to him because he knew he felt bad about it because there was no intent there. Never would be.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to
Great
hit
guy.
somebody, you drill them in the hip or something. You don't drill them in the face.
Oh yeah, no. If you well, honestly, you should hit him in the elbow because that hurts a lot. But
Yeah,
that's hard to aim for. The ribs is usually a good spot.
that's true.
Anyway, great guy Harper. We're
Not
on
that we
team
condone
Harper
that.
now. We're full team Harper. Great guy. He can't. I think the media honestly is what made us not team Harper originally.
Yeah, I mean, and
Media has a lot of pull.
for giving out that contract, you want to see as a Bavarian guy, Matt Klentak, get some credit for it. He's not the GM anymore, but he was the one that gave that deal out. So, he found
that's
his
the other thing.
star and paid him.
Everyone's like he hasn't lived up to expectations. It's more the Phillies haven't lived up to expectations. He still he hasn't been bad. Now he hasn't been $350 million worth of a player, but this year he kind of has.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost impossible to live up to those expectations,
Only Trout can.
but that's true. And DeGrom, because he got a very cheap contract, so that's easy.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But yeah, no, I'm fully on board with everything you said there. Speaking of guys got big contracts, Max Scherzer was unreal today. I love Max Scherzer. He's such a dog out there. 106 pitch complete game with 9 strikeouts against the Marlins. And then afterwards, he's like, oh, sorry, guys, I can't make the Zoom meeting because my wife's in labor right now. So I got to go over to the hospital.
Just casually throw.
Throws a complete game with that on his mind.
He was doing it for the kid.
He
Clearly.
was.
No, but anyone who does that's just insane. And we know he is mentally.
He's a free agent at the end of the year, too. So be interesting. Seems like the type of guy that wants to pitch until his arm falls off.
Yeah, he's one of those old school hurlers for sure. I still think the idea where if the Nationals aren't in contention, he's getting traded at the deadline to a contender. Probably the AL because they want to keep him out of the NL, but still.
I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens, but maybe the Nats trade him and then sign him back, do a little Chapman move.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah. You go contend for a year, we'll get some prospects, and then we load up again for 22.
Yeah, we help you out. You get another ring, hopefully. And then you come back home where your wife and your kids are. You don't even have to sell your house. You just rent an apartment for the half a year. Come back happy. We'll contend next year.
Yeah. I mean, the Nationals are never a team that's wanted to do a rebuild before, so I don't see why they would now.
No, exactly. Yeah, they're one of those old school teams.
And speaking of old school, Ryan Zimmerman's having a great year after sitting out 2020 because of COVID. He's come back with a vengeance, aging like fine wine.
Yeah, we thought maybe that was going to be his last year too. We thought he's not going to come back. He might just retire.
Everybody had written him off, but he's proven people wrong. So we love people that prove people wrong.
Oh, we do. And talk about another outfielder who's injured, Soto.
Yeah.
They could. It's tough.
I mean, goes without saying, it's one of the best players in the league. You need him in your lineup if you want to be good.
You do.
Yeah, with the injuries to him, Tatis out for a while, Acuna out for a while, it's not an ideal start to what has otherwise been an awesome season.
I guess the only good thing is that they haven't really overlapped too much with when they've been out. Like Tatis was out, Acuna and Soto were still there. Acuna was out, Tatis just came back, Soto was going out, and now Tatis and Acuna are back, but Soto's out.
Maybe we're just getting out of the way early in the season so they can be healthy for the stretch run and the pennant chase.
Post All-Star break, it's going to be nuts.
Oh, I can't wait.
Me neither.
With they just announced that Yankee Stadium and Citi Field can be back full capacity in July. Probably sometime in August for Boston. Everybody's in a little bit different spot because like Texas, it's full capacity now, but we got the fans coming back. We got the atmosphere coming back. It's a good time to be a baseball fan.
Yeah, and we need that because ticket prices at Fenway are ridiculous.
Yeah, that's unsurprising. You thought it was bad before? Well, now try to get limited edition tickets during a pandemic.
Yeah. On top of that, $10 water.
Yeah, and you can park out right outside, but it will cost you $70. And yet we wonder why attendance. It's not because people don't want to see baseball. It's because not everybody in the world is loaded.
It's because John Henry's greedy.
Well, we could say that about a lot of owners.
It's true, but they at least got big parks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Fenway is Fenway, you know.
Oh, yeah. You could probably expand it a little bit without ruining it.
Hey, I'm all for getting more people in there.
I don't know how you do it, but I think you could.
Yeah, well, we'll leave that up to the pros. That's their job to figure out the logistics.
Exactly. All right, guys.
The ideas, guys.
I mean, that was a good show, right? Yeah.
It's a great show. Yeah.
Great to get back. Starting either next week or the week after, once we're done with finals, we're gonna get this thing going hard.
We are. We'll be revving it up
2 times a week over the summer. It's gonna be fun.
So we're looking for. We'll be better than ever. I will be done with my finals by this time next week. So the fun starts soon.
I'll be done a few days after that. So it's gonna be fun. Trust me. You're gonna want to tune in this summer.
You will. First, say a prayer for both of us to get through our finals weeks.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
But all right, guys. Thanks for listening. It was a great show, and we will see you next time.
See you guys.